Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Big Four podcast. Mike and I here. Luke, who knows? Alex, not here with us today. So
Heath not here.
no, we didn't. We weren't able to get Heath on today. He's a hot commodity. All right. Basketball today. Obviously, we'll start with Ohio State. They lose to Florida last week, and then they go and they beat Duke. Duke coming off that game against Gonzaga in Vegas. So talk about Ohio State. You can talk about the Duke Gonzaga game and Duke if you want. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a disappointing loss against Florida, but they more than made up for it against Duke. Now, as someone who bet Duke, I'm not too happy because Duke had the game. They just decided to not play in the second half, really.
What'd you lose 50 cents on that one?
No, that was in our picks group.
Oh.
But listen, you got to give Ohio State credit. They were given the opportunity. They took advantage. They made some big plays down the stretch, and Duke, my God, what a choke from Duke. And, this is what happens. This is what happens when you he's about to join us. Hold on. This is what happens when you never play a non-conference road game. So you have no idea what the hell's going on and what the hell happens. So, yeah, solid win for Ohio State, and they'll be right where they want to be right now. I mean, they couldn't have done much better. Obviously, they wanted to beat Florida, but a tough loss, but it happens. They more than made up for it.
Yeah, Luke is still connecting, so I'll go. Yeah, I mean, good win for Ohio State. The Florida loss was tough, obviously, in the buzzer beater, but as Mike said, they made up for it. That's a tough game. I don't really take anything out of it for either team, to be honest with you. Ohio State's a top 25 team. Duke, really good team, but you come off an emotional win on the road, tough environment. It's going to be tough to win. I know they blew the game.
They should have won. They completely choked.
Doesn't matter. But yeah, the Duke.
What was it? 66-60, and they don't score a single point after that?
Duke got a little lucky in the Gonzaga game with the
Ohio
foul.
State got a little lucky in this game, so it made up for it.
Yeah, the foul trouble with Timmy and Holmgren, but that was a good win for Duke. And then it was the law of averages. That's all right. No shame in that loss for Duke. A great win for Ohio State. Ohio State. Let's see. We got Purdue. Probably Michigan State's the second best team in the Big Ten. And then probably Ohio State. I mean, Wisconsin's good, but
no, Maryland.
Oh yeah, Maryland, of course.
I told you they'd suck.
Well, so yeah, I mean, those are four teams right there. I think those are the only tournament teams in the Big Ten, to be honest with you. Maybe Iowa.
That's why Lenardi had 9 last time.
Iowa might be a tournament team. I don't know.
Didn't you said it was 2, so the number's going up.
It's going up, yeah. Luke, we're talking about Ohio State lost to Florida and winning over Duke. Go ahead.
No, we're a basketball school now. That was a huge win over Duke. Obviously, the schedule makers screwed us by making us play Duke the Tuesday after we played Michigan in the first place. But we're the best team in the country now, best team in the Big Ten. We're winning the national championship.
All right. All right. Michigan. Move on to them. They had their ACC Big Ten Challenge game last night. Got run off the floor in the second half by North Carolina. What do you guys think about this?
Yeah, because Michigan sucks. And as we've said now, they're no longer a basketball school like you've been saying for the past 3 years, obviously proving you're wrong once again.
Yeah, troubling loss for a couple of reasons.
Fired Jawan.
I thought they'd win the game because North Carolina's not very good. I've changed my opinion a little bit on North Carolina because they have some talent. They just haven't put it together yet. Still question the coaching staff there. I don't think it's great, but they're still a talented team. Michigan is the same way. They're a talented team, but they aren't putting it together right now. And they played fine on defense, but offensively, they've just got to get more out of their guys in the starting rotation. I mean, you can't ask for much more out of Diabate. You can't ask much more out of. You can ask more out of Brooks because he's not shooting the ball well. But I mean, you're going to have to get more out of your freshman. You're going to have to get more out of Dickinson again. He's just unacceptable to have 4 points. I know he had 4 fouls, but you got to force feed him in the post. That's your best option. And he's got to figure out a way to either beat the double team, or when they bring the double, you got to hit the guy open for an open shot.
Well, he does, and they miss.
No, that's not true. He's not
That
doing
is
it.
true.
They're not getting it to it in the post. I watched Michigan. They never even gave it to him.
That's not good offense for Michigan this year. It's bad offense.
That's not true. But I think poor point guard play is probably the most important thing, and they've struggled with it this year, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I said after the Seton Hall game, Michigan's not making the NCAA tournament. There's a 0% chance they make it. And I don't question Juwan Howard's coaching. The team plays good.
I do.
The team plays.
I do. I question everything about it. Maybe he shouldn't have been so worried about them beating Ohio State in football, and should have been more concerned about beating North Carolina in basketball.
Yeah, well, Luke, building a team with no shooting is like building a defense that can't stop the run.
There are other ways to win basketball games other than
No.
to shoot.
The Michigan equivalent of that would be have a team of shooters, but just don't take open shots, because that's what Ohio State did on defense. I mean, they just didn't even try to stop the run.
Anyways, I don't question his coaching because they play good defense and they play hard. What I do question, and I mean, he obviously built a good roster last year, but maybe it was a little lucky because of how good Mike Smith was and how good Dickinson was last year. But this roster, and I said it before the season, it is unacceptable, the lack of shooting that's on this team.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, last year was completely lucky because
Maybe he should take his son off scholarship and find another person who might be able to shoot.
Chris, I was told for 3 months that Mel Tucker, this year doesn't mean anything because transfers don't you don't develop them, so they don't actually mean anything. Same with what Juwan Howard's done. All he's done is got transfers and kept Beeline's players. He's never actually developed his own guys. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, you have a point. I mean, he deserves the benefit of the doubt for right now because of what happened.
I don't think so. The only time he's won is during a Mickey Mouse pandemic year.
So listen.
And I told you he's a bad coach. You didn't listen.
Bad coach.
He is a bad coach.
Michigan is a well-coached team with a bad roster.
They're only well coached because they have Phil Martelli.
They're a well-coached team with a bad roster. They don't have any shooting. It's unbelievable to me how you make a team like this. Everybody on your bench can't shoot. There's not one player on the bench that can shoot aside from Will Shetter, who's not going to play.
Well, he's cheap because he wants to save the $50,000 a year it costs him to send his kid there.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, Dickinson can't shoot. Diabate is no reliable three-point shooter.
Why didn't Nunez play?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What a player. Caleb Houston has been terrible. Another terrible game for him. 2 for 9. He's awful. And
he was 2 for 4 from 3. That's good.
As Mike said, what I think is their second biggest problem is the point guard play. It's just awful.
He's a freshman about 5 games into his college career. How about you?
He's number 6.
Give him a little time to adjust.
Can't make an open shot.
Go look at Max Christie. Go look at Max Christie's shooting numbers.
What does he need to adjust to? He sits on the 3-point line. He's supposed to be a great shooter.
Speed of the game. The speed of the game.
He can't. He sits there for open shots and can't make them. He's not struggling on defense. He's not struggling to, whatever else. He sits there and misses open shots. That's what he does. That's his offense.
Well, he was 2 for 4 from 3. So they must not have been open shots.
No, they were. Devontae Jones, as Mike was saying, the point guard play is terrible. Devontae Jones is awful. Basically,
I told you he wouldn't be good. You didn't listen to me.
Well, you're 1 for 2 because you also said Mike Smith wouldn't be good.
No. I was wrong because he made a transition. He went from a scoring first point guard to a passing first point guard. That doesn't happen a whole lot.
Devontae Jones, he's just not good. That's the bottom line. So Juwan Howard is 1 for 2 on point guard transfers. But Jones cannot run the point. And one of these freshmen is going to have to figure – actually, you know what? I don't like Frankie Collins playing because he can't shoot. But he can get into the lane and distribute a little bit. Eli Brooks needs to be running the point. I don't care about playing your random freshman at point guard. Brooks should be playing 40 minutes a game running the point guard.
It's about
nobody else can do it. Yeah, because nobody else can do it. So that needs to change. Brandon Johns, my God. I mean, he can't be playing any worse. I don't know what happened to him. He was great in the NCAA tournament last year and just completely.
Well, it's a red flag that he's from East Lansing and he wasn't even recruited by Michigan State. I mean, that's a red flag. He must not even like Michigan. He's probably a Michigan State fan.
Oh yeah. So a complete joke there. As you're saying with North Carolina, they're okay.
That's actually Tom Izzo setting a recruit to Michigan to sabotage the program from the inside.
North Carolina will be like a 7 seed, 8 seed in the tournament. North Carolina is horrible on defense, and Michigan scored 51 points. That's all you need to know about our offense right now. And the biggest problem is there's no spacing because nobody can shoot the ball, and there's no threat to shoot the ball. All right. Michigan State, runner-up in the battle for Atlantis, beat Loyola. They beat UConn and lost to Baylor, and they beat Louisville in their Big Ten ACC Challenge game. What do you guys have to say about Michigan State?
They're slowly improving. I know Mike has some issues with the rotation, but I think they've had a couple of good wins, slowly improving by the end of the year. Maybe they won't be the force that they usually are, but they won't be an easy out in the tournament because they'll make the tournament. That's not a concern, but they won't be an easy out. Maybe they get the right draws like Michigan did a couple of years ago. They can make a run.
Yeah, I think the team's a lot better. I thought they'd be.
I think they were like the worst team in the Big Ten, so I hope they're better than you thought.
I said they were ninth in the Big Ten to start the year.
Yeah.
So just barely in the bottom half.
They're second.
But what surprised me has been our defense because last year we were 8th in the Big Ten in defense. This year we're number 2 in the country in terms of KenPom, and we've played I think we're the only team in the top like 20 in terms of strength of schedule. Some stat I can't remember, but we're up there in strength of schedule, which is good. I mean, I don't think I don't want to say. I mean, we played a bunch of really good teams. I don't think Kansas is that great. I didn't think we played great against them, but Baylor's a great team, and we played well for a half, and then we started turning the ball over, and that's why we lost. But Baylor's just a better team than us right now. One encouraging thing is, I think John Rothstein said this. Michigan State, they've got a lot of players that can beat you. They don't have one guy, they don't have the guy, which is why I think this team has a ceiling, at least right now. I think maybe Tyson Walker could become that if he decides to actually shoot the ball. But we have a bunch of guys who can beat you. It kind of reminds me of Ohio State last year, where you have 4, 5, 6 guys who can beat you, who can give you 10 plus points on a given day. Gabe Brown has been the most consistent scorer. You got Max Christie, who struggled down in Atlantis, but he played well yesterday. I don't even want to say Joey Hazard's name. I'm not even going to mention him today. I'm in a good mood. I'm not going to talk about him. Malik Hall, I mean, he's been very inconsistent, but he can give you 10 to 15 on any given night. And then our freshmen, I've been surprised. All of them have played and played pretty well. Max, he struggled a little bit offensively, but he has been a lockdown defender. He held Noah Locke to 0 points. Louisville's best scorer, former Florida player, 0 points yesterday. Very impressive. And Akins, I feel like I know I'm a Michigan State fan, so I like to bring up Michigan a lot. He's kind of like our Diabate because he's a raw talent. He's our most athletic player. He's pretty good on defense. And once in a while he'll flash off the screen and say, "Oh, that's the next star here." That's what it looks like. He played well yesterday, and he'll continue to get better. I think. Yeah, listen, I'm just going to have to live with the 10-man rotation because I know it's going to continue. Tom Izzo talked about how Purdue, and by the way, Purdue's got way too big of a rotation also, but Purdue runs a huge rotation, so he's going to run a big rotation as well. So I can't be mad about any of the results the past week and a half. It was pretty impressive. So yeah, I mean, we're in good position. You couldn't really ask a whole lot more out of this team early on to be 5-2 with the schedule they played. It's decently impressive. Now we got to, you can't sleep on Toledo. They are not the team you can just come in and expect to win. They are not Western Michigan. You're going to have to play at least semi-well to win by 20. So that'll be an interesting game. And then then you got the 2 conference games next week. At Minnesota is always tough.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it always is.
Well, it's not going to be this year because they suck.
Well, they're 6-0.
Yeah.
They're
They're really good teams.
They play Mississippi State on Sunday, and then they play us on Wednesday. So that'll be an interesting game. And then Penn State, you should win that game easily. And then the rivalry against Oakland. Oakland is a very good team this year. I'm worried about that game because, this is the year that streaks have been broken. Michigan, Washington State, Oklahoma State. Streaks have been broken. I'm worried about that game. And then Tubby Smith and High Point come into town, and then you start conference play. So it's a tough end to the non-conference season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Michigan State's a good team. The second best team in the Big Ten.
No, we're still 4th or 5th, probably.
Loyola win. I don't care about that. UConn win was impressive. I mean, it was as they say, it's a game of runs. Michigan State had their run in the first half. UConn took the lead. Looked like they were going to win. And Michigan State came back and won it. So
they choked.
Well, no, they were.
I am concerned. I'm concerned for Michigan State in the fact that they might be peaking too early.
Well, I would say that if we had beaten Baylor, then I would be really concerned. But we lost, so I'm not as concerned.
That's a great loss.
Yeah, I actually think it is a great loss because you played well for a half, and then you came back to earth. So if you play your best that you can compete, but you're not peaking too early by winning the game.
Yeah, I mean, UConn's a good team. They played a tough game the day before. That was going to be tough for them to win there. But yeah, good win for Michigan State. That win will look really good for them at the end of the season.
Yeah, the Loyola win will too.
No, it won't. Loyola's a bad.
I don't think Loyola will lose another game. I mean, look at their schedule.
Well, Drake was the odds-on favorite to win the
conference.
conference.
Who the hell didn't Drake lose to someone terrible?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Drake's under 500 right now.
No,
they haven't played. They haven't played a tough schedule.
No. Anyways, yeah, they're great defensively, like Mike said. They lost to Baylor. It doesn't matter. Baylor's a really good team, and I don't think Louisville's very good. But the UConn game, I take a lot out of.
No, Louisville is not very good.
Yeah. The ACC is just horrible as a whole.
Well, 8-6.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But I just don't think this team is going to score high enough to be competing for the Big Ten or for anything more than, second place in the Big Ten, which bring Purdue's
well,
away with a conference.
Here's what we need.
As who is the one who said Purdue's going 19-1 in conference? I could definitely see it.
Probably Jeff Goodman. Didn't Jeff Goodman say they're going 20-0?
Oh, they probably will. I could see it.
Okay. You know how hard it is to go 20-0 in conference play?
The Big Ten is not good. So
okay. They're still the best league in the country.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. Listen, it may not be top heavy as it was last year, but they've got a lot of 8 to 10 seed teams.
They have a lot of middling teams.
Yeah, listen, a middling team at home could beat any top team at home on any given night.
Yeah, well, Purdue is the best team in the country, and they will not lose. They'll lose maybe one game in the Big Ten all year.
Listen.
Yeah, I was trying to tell you that. I was trying to tell you that at the end of the year, but you wouldn't agree with me.
What?
I'm still concerned about Purdue shooting. I know they've shot really well early on, but this is the same team that a lot of these guys have struggled shooting the ball in the past. I'm expecting a regression to the mean a little bit. And I'll tell you, if Michigan State is to become, listen, their chances are low, but if Michigan State is to become a Sweet 16 team, that's that sort of thing. What they're going to need is they're going to need Tyson Walker, he had 10 assists and 3 steals yesterday. He's going to have to score the ball.
Yeah, he is.
Because listen, Tom Izzo, the staple of his offense is to not run any offense. That's his offense. He just gives it to his point guard and says, create. And that's the reason why we sucked last year, because we didn't have a point guard. And I think we have one this year, and I think he's been a little hesitant to shoot the ball. I think it's sort of the Mike Smith thing, because he was asked to give you 18, 19 a game last year, and now he's just way too hesitant. Now he's trying to find open guys more and not look for a shot.
Yeah, Walker's doing a nice job, and that's the thing. At Michigan State, like they're good with him just passing and doing all that, but they need somebody to create their own shot.
He's 5 for 7 from 3 on the year. He needs to shoot the ball.
They don't have anybody right now, unless Tyson Walker figures it out and decides to do it, to create their own shot. I mean, they simply don't. So
I think Max once in a while he'll give you a little bit. He'll show you something. But
I'm not sold on him.
He's having the same sort of problems that Houston's having. He's struggling with length and physicality. But defensively, he's been a lockdown defender, which is good. I mean, you don't want to pout on the other end when you're struggling offensively.
No, nothing about his defense. I think they need a guy that can create his own shot to be competing with the best teams. All right.
Malik Hall can create his own shot. That's about it. It's him, and then Hauser tries, but he always turns it over.
Malik Hall can create his own shot, but he's either going for 0 or 20. So.
Well, that's because he doesn't shoot. It's like weird.
All right, the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Big Ten wins 8-6. What do we think about this?
Well, I mean, the Big Ten wrapped up on like the first day, didn't they?
No.
They were somewhat close or something like that.
They were holding up for dear life last night, and
all they had to do was win. All they had to do was like win 2 out of the 8 games yesterday to win it or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Well, here's the thing: the Big Ten might be down this year, but they're still the best conference in the country, and it's not even close.
That's a ridiculous take.
It's not. They just destroyed
the
ACC.
They just destroyed a conference who's worse than the WCC, and they didn't destroy them. They beat them 8-6.
Okay, it's like the Ryder Cup. I mean, once you get the final blow, it's over. It doesn't matter what the rest of the games. They don't mean anything.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's what Maryland was thinking in their game against Virginia Tech. Doesn't matter if we lose this one.
Maryland choked.
Okay. Anybody else going to say anything, or you guys? That's it.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, it was a dominant performance in the Big Ten. It was. Now, I mean, look at the wins that the ACC had. I mean, none of their top teams won except for North Carolina. I mean, it was the bottom of the league that racked up wins. Hold on, let me.
Big Ten should be beating this conference 14-0. The ACC is a complete and utter disgrace.
Well, I'll start with Monday. Okay, the Big Ten won, and then that's a big win for Iowa at Virginia. That was big.
Virginia really bad.
I mean, look at the ACC's wins. Syracuse, okay, you're at home. That's one that you at least think you're going to win. Wake Forest in overtime. Yeah, I mean, Northwestern.
That was a bad loss.
That's pretty bad. And then yesterday, NC State against Nebraska. I mean, come on. Nebraska should have won the game. And then Virginia Tech. Yeah, that's a pretty good win. And then Miami at Penn State. I mean, it's the bottom of the ACC that was winning their games. It wasn't the top.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this was an embarrassing performance from the Big Ten. Just going to be honest. Let's take a look at some of these games. Iowa and Illinois win. They take care of business against 2 really bad teams. So they did their job. Indiana, what a shameful performance against Syracuse, who's just been dreadful this year.
That's a quad 2 or quad 1 loss.
Okay. Syracuse has been horrid this year. They have been so
No, they
bad.
haven't. They've been okay.
Let's take a look at what Syracuse has done this year. They lost by 15 at home to Colgate. They have 100 points.
They beat Arizona State.
Oh, who's just awful.
And they lost by 21 to Auburn. But
they lost by 21 to Auburn. They lost to VCU.
VCU's not bad.
And they lost to Colgate by 15 at home. So Syracuse has been dreadful. And Indiana goes in there and
listen, it's the zone. You never listen. Once in a while you play a team that just does some weird crap.
Indiana shot 55%.
Syracuse can score the ball.
Yeah,
one thing they can do, they can score the ball.
Indiana can't defend.
No, Indiana's like top 10 in defensive efficiency.
Well, they're not anymore.
Well, yes. Let's go to KenPom, shall we?
Embarrassing performance from Indiana. Shameful. Minnesota over Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh might be the worst team in all the power conferences. So Minnesota takes care of business. Purdue takes care of business.
Indiana's 24th in defensive efficiency.
Yeah. The Northwestern Wake Forest. That's a horrible loss for Northwestern. That's a terrible loss.
Yeah, I
Rutgers-
mean, I've been hearing from everybody, including I heard Seth Greenberg say it the other day that he guarantees Northwestern will make the tournament this year.
Yeah, I don't know why people are getting this. Clemson is horrible. Rutgers takes care of business. Ohio State, obviously, with a win. Michigan,
Big win for Rutgers. Rutgers needed that.
a shameful loss for Michigan, as we've already talked about. Michigan State obviously takes care of business. A choke from Nebraska against NC State. Choke from
Half their
Maryland.
roster was done because I was watching the game. Like 2 of them got ejected, and then 4 of them fouled out. They were like down to their walk-ons at the end of the game.
Oh, well, it doesn't. You know what? Fine. I'll accept that loss. I'll accept the loss for Penn State and for Nebraska. Other than that, I'm not accepting any losses from the Big Ten. It should have been 12-2. Wisconsin, Wisconsin knotted it up. The Big Ten was, they were fighting for dear life with that last game with Wisconsin to win the challenge.
It's all that matters. It doesn't matter if you win 14-0 or 8-6. It all counts.
Well, I mean, the Big Ten just played a mid-major conference and beat them 8-6. So, all right. The Big 12, Big East battle, a staple of college basketball season.
It's awful.
It tipped off last night. Providence beat Texas Tech, and the games we played.
You know what's dumb about it? What's the worst part about it is they drag it out over like 3 months.
Yeah, it just
So
dragged out.
You never
But,
know. You never know when this like thing ever. Like you never know when it's actually a game or not. I
Right,
think they had one. They had one in the NCAA tournament last year.
Who's gonna win this this battle?
Probably the Big 12. What's it? 1-0 right now.
1-0 Big East.
Yeah,
I don't
probably
even know the
Big 12. I
matchups.
don't know. They both suck.
Well, I can go over the matchups right now if you want. You guys can build off that.
I'm looking it up on the internet.
All right, I can go then.
Oh, I found it. I found it.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, Providence already won. Kansas will beat St. John's, so 1-1. I'd take Iowa State. I'd take Oklahoma State. I'd take Oklahoma over Butler. They'd win by 30.
Really?
Marquette would probably win. UConn would probably beat West Virginia. So that's a toss-up. The Seton Hall, Texas game's a toss-up. Baylor will win. Villanova's not that good.
Well, the thing is, too, next thing you know, a couple of these teams have big injuries go down in the next month, and then they're going to play 2 months from now, and the whole dynamic of the game changes.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm going to take the Big 12 is going to win like 6-4.
First, before I do this, I just want to shout out the Providence Friars on their win last night. They get almost nothing from Nate Watson.
Well, they needed to beat that Texas Tech team because that Texas Tech team has played a combined. Their opponents were like a combined 6-20, 6-30 something. Like
yeah,
if you could beat that team.
Texas Tech fans on Twitter are angry that people don't have them in their rankings. They haven't played anybody, and they finally play a good team and they lose.
Oh, what's this Jeff Goodman that was getting a bunch of shit, and he said he doesn't rank anybody that doesn't play anybody in, like the top 250 of Ken Palm or something like that.
Yeah, so Texas Tech's no point guard offense looks real good. Providence is a really good team. They're going to make the NCAA tournament. Okay, so that's 1-0. St. John's, Kansas, it's a toss-up.
Give me a break.
Tough environment.
I mean, I guess it's a toss-up because of the environment. I'll give you that.
So I'll take St. John's there. I think Iowa State and Creighton's probably a toss-up, but Iowa State, Creighton's horrible. So Iowa State, Xavier will win. Oklahoma State doesn't care.
It's not true.
Will win. So that's 3-2 Big East. Marquette, UConn, 5-2. I'll take Texas, and Baylor probably wins at home too. And Georgetown is horrible. So I'm going with a 5-5 tie here.
Wow, no balls.
Yeah, I mean, if there is going to be a team that wins, it'll be Villanova at Baylor or Seton Hall at home against Texas. So
Do you think every single game's going to end in a tie?
no, I don't actually.
How does that work? They each get half a point, like
What?
in golf.
Exactly.
All right, pick a game to talk about.
Let's see. I was watching the shit. I was watching. Where is it? The game I was watching after, or the same day of the Ohio State game, was this. Well, obviously we had the Indiana Syracuse game, but we already talked about that. That was one of the best games I've seen in a while. But this Western Kentucky team, they were good last year. I think they have some talent this year. I'm gonna be on them this year. I think they're one of the teams I'm gonna pick to be good. I already have the entire WCC, and I think I'm gonna have this Western Kentucky team. They have this Hamilton guy, 24 points, 6 rebounds. McKnight had 10 assists, 8 rebounds. Frampton, 18 points. Brashear off the bench with 20 points. I think this team can do some damage. This was in a game against Rhodes College where they beat them 105-35, just an absolute pure domination. And I think this is a team to watch out for moving forward. I really do.
You were watching Rhodes College against Western Kentucky?
Yes, because I picked Washington. I picked Western Kentucky in our picks, I think.
What'd you have?
I probably didn't, but I was watching the game.
Yeah.
I want to talk about one of the tournaments, one of the under the radar tournaments that happened last Friday and Saturday. We had well, I guess I'll talk about the ESPN freaking Invitational because it was such a weird tournament. You had a couple upsets, Alabama losing to Iona, that buzzer beater by Dayton to beat Kansas. I mean, it was imagine you're Alabama and Kansas going down there. You look at the field, you see a bunch of mid-majors, and then you see Alabama or Kansas on the other side. You're like, oh, we're gonna on it. We're gonna get there, and that's gonna be a marquee game. And I'm sure ESPN's thinking the same thing. And then they both lose, and then you get freaking Dayton versus Belmont in the championship. I mean, that must have been one of the biggest disappointments that you could have. But it happens. But I guess Kansas did beat Iona. That's got to be a quad 1 win for them. And then Alabama took care of business after the tough loss to Rick Pitino. But yeah, I mean, I just find it interesting that sometimes you assume things in college basketball, and just you can't assume anything.
It's anarchy.
Yeah.
Well, Luke has left us, but I'm going to talk about one of his teams. The number 12 team in the country currently will not be the number 12 team in the country by Monday. BYU losing to Utah Valley last night. Now, first of all, I don't understand why BYU is playing a road game at Utah Valley. That's the first thing. That is one of the most ridiculous scheduling decisions I've ever seen.
Did you see the game? Was it actually a real home court environment?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure they stormed the court. Yeah, they did storm the court.
It's the UCCU crosstown clash, whatever that is.
Yeah, I don't care what tournament it is. That's ridiculous that BYU is playing a home game at Utah Valley or away game at Utah Valley. So horrible scheduling on their part.
Probably a rivalry game.
And that's a really bad loss for the WCC, Luke. That's a really bad loss.
Well, BYU's in the WAC, so I've made that official. I've kicked them out of the WCC.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually,
we're also not one of the good teams this year. It's Santa Clara. It's St. Mary's.
Well, BYU is the number 12 team in the country right now. So.
Well, that's ridiculous because they're not even a top 12 team in the WCC.
BYU's campus is 15 minutes away from Utah Valley's campus.
Well, and the guy the Mormon who used to play with Shaq is their coach, is Utah Valley's coach.
BYU is also going to play a away game at Missouri State this week. I don't know what in the world they're doing with their schedule.
Well,
Listen, it's about making money.
Good, right?
It's about making money.
Yeah, well, they made some money, and then they lost to Utah Valley last night. So,
but they made the money. They didn't lose any money from it.
It's ridiculous. That should not be.
They probably play a home and home every year.
Yeah, well, they shouldn't.
Well,
Mark Madsen. Mark Madsen's their coach.
Yeah, he needs to be fired.
No, he's a great coach.
Well, they beat Antelope Valley, so they're a good team.
Oh yeah,
Utah Valley.
All right, let's get to the picks. Luke's in first place. 3 games
That's
up
right.
on me, 4 games up on Mike. Even though he picked the games after they all happened last week.
Who I did?
Yeah.
Well, I picked more games wrong that already happened than I did with the games that haven't happened yet.
Okay. St.
It
Mary's.
just shows you that I wasn't looking.
St. Mary's at Utah State.
St. Mary's.
Yeah, St. Mary's.
St. Mary's. Kansas at St. John's.
Kansas.
Rock Chalk.
St. John's. Rutgers at Illinois.
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 Illinois. San Diego State at Michigan.
Michigan. If it was football, I'd take Brady Hoke in a revenge game, but it's not.
It's actually the Steve Fisher revenge game. I'm going with Michigan.
I'm gonna get a game right here. I'm taking San Diego State in a blowout. Rhode Island at Providence, big rivalry.
Providence.
Providence. Number 18, Memphis at Ole Miss.
Oh Jesus, Memphis has not been great lately. I'll take Memphis.
Yeah, that was bad yesterday. I'm gonna take Ole Miss.
I'm gonna take Memphis. Marquette at Wisconsin.
Wisconsin rivalry game.
Yeah, this is an every other year affair. I'm taking Wisconsin.
I'll go with Wisconsin. Louisville at NC State.
Louisville.
I'm taking Louisville because we beat them.
I'll go with NC State.
And you know what they say about Kevin Keats?
You can't spell NIT, or you can't spell.
You can't spell Kevin Keats without NIT.
Syracuse at Florida State.
Florida State.
Florida State.
Florida State. Number 20, USC at Washington State, coming off their 51-26 win over Arizona State.
USC.
Wazoo. They're making the tournament this year.
I agree with Mike. I'm taking Wazoo. Alabama and Gonzaga, neutral site.
Gonzaga.
I'm a little concerned about Gonzaga. I think, they might have had a letdown after their emotional loss. That's why they kept it close with Tarleton State. Alabama with the upset.
I'm going to take Gonzaga. Number 19, Iowa State at Creighton.
Creighton. Iowa State's overhyped.
Iowa State plays hard. They play good defense. I'll take Iowa State. And they got like 10 Big Ten transfers. So
yeah, I don't think Iowa State's that good, but I mean, Creighton is horrible.
Yeah, it's Creighton.
I'll take Iowa State.
they got Gabe Kalsher.
Georgetown at South Carolina.
South Carolina, I know nothing about them.
God, these might be the worst 2 teams in the power conferences.
South
Carolina lost to Coastal by 20 last night.
Nice.
Yeah, but Georgetown is coached by someone who's incompetent, and the only reason he won the conference championship last year was because his coach died.
Well, the only reason he still has a job is because he won the Big East tournament.
It's because his coach died.
Mike, you have a pick here?
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna take.
South Carolina did beat my Western Kentucky team.
I'm taking Georgetown. South Carolina is atrocious.
I'm taking South Carolina in a blowout. Minnesota at Mississippi State.
Who was the first team?
Minnesota.
I'll take Minnesota.
I'm taking Minnesota because Mississippi State, I've watched them play, and they are incompetent. And it has nothing to do with Mark Watts because he doesn't even play. They're just incompetent. Garrison Brooks has fallen off a cliff over the past couple of years. And Minnesota is going to come in there, and they're going to win.
No, they're not. I'm taking Mississippi State. North Carolina at Georgia Tech.
You say North Carolina and Georgia Tech?
Yeah.
I'll take North Carolina.
Yeah, it's going to be a pro UNC crowd. I'm going to take North Carolina.
I'll take North Carolina. Xavier at Oklahoma State.
Xavier.
I like Oklahoma State in this game.
I'm going to take Xavier. Ohio State at Penn State.
Ohio State. Jamari Wheeler revenge game.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ohio State. Penn State's just right now. I think they're clearly the worst team in the Big Ten.
Well, Michigan's worse than them.
Well, Michigan didn't lose to UMass by 30, so
Fair enough. Ohio State. Michigan State at Minnesota.
Michigan State.
I'm hesitant to pick us, but I think we've proven we can win on the road. We've actually played a road game, unlike most teams. I'll take Michigan State.
Michigan State. Illinois at Iowa.
Illinois.
Yeah, I don't know who is Illinois. Who is Iowa's center? Who are they? How are they going to stop Cockburn? I'm going to take Illinois.
I just don't like the way Illinois is playing. I like the way Iowa's playing. I'm taking Iowa.
Yeah, they also got to get Corbello back,
Michigan.
even though he sucks.
Michigan at Nebraska.
Michigan.
Yeah, Pinnacle Bank Arena is the place that you go to get right. I'm taking Michigan.
I'm taking Nebraska in a blowout. Texas Tech and Tennessee, neutral site.
Texas Tech, Tennessee. I'll take Tennessee.
Tennessee. I think they're a lot better than I thought they'd be this year.
Tennessee. And a tough game here to end it. Number 6 Villanova and Syracuse at a neutral site.
Villanova.
Yeah, this is the Cole Swider revenge game. I'm taking Syracuse.
Wow. I'm going to take Villanova. I can see Mike going down on the picks even more after this week.
Listen, I'm already down. Might as
Questionable.
well keep going.
Questionable picks.
No, what are you talking about?
All right. That's going to do it for the basketball Big Four podcast. We'll be back next week. We'll see what happens this weekend in Indianapolis. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Hockey tomorrow.
Yeah.